Drawing every day of October, day 6. Today's theme was weapon, but before we get to my art, I wanted to show off my roommate's submission for today. She wanted to do Genji from Chainsaw Man, which came out super nice. I'm looking at their process and taking some notes for myself on where I can improve, because I feel like that's the best way to learn. And as always, I'm going to show off what you guys made for yesterday's vehicle theme. We got Verxes with a nice sports car, Kahoot Master 1 with a nice Deltarune meme, and V Creations E, who animated a little car in Blender. Big fan of that. Now on to weapon. For today, I wanted to do 3 things, but I ended up only doing 2 because of how long it took. I wanted to make a gun, a sword, and someone holding a sword, but cut the guy because shading the Master Sword took way too long. I started again with some exercises and messed around with some perspective tools that Krita has built in. Then I started on the gun. I drew a little reference of how I normally make guns, so this was a big improvement from where I started. I used a different perspective than the reference to really challenge myself and think about 3D space in a more interesting way, and I think I did a good job. I probably should have done the gun off of the reference and then like changed it and rotated it in my mind, but still really proud of how this turned out. Metal is definitely the easiest texture to shade for me. Also, a lot of you guys recommended using a stabilizer for my drawing, and that definitely helps smooth my line art. But then we get to the sword. I made a quick sketch mock-up, but since the sword is like an identical mirror of itself from like the outline, I could have done the easy thing and just flipped it and copied it, but instead I decided to give myself guidelines to try and do both perfectly, which honestly didn't do that bad. Then for the shading, I pretty much just copied what I saw in the reference. When I got to the hilt, that's where I had a lot of struggles. I probably should have sketched the 3D tubes that make up the wings, but it still came out really good. I'm messing around with shading without as much of an outline, like for the gem in the middle, and I think I'm getting a lot better. After I finished recording, I added a silly little guy to the gun one just because it looked a little empty over there. Here they are with the guidelines and without, just for reference of how I made them. So overall, really proud of how these turned out, and I'm still having a blast. The theme tomorrow will be anime, so have fun with that. YouTube!